his invaluable lessons, and the borrowed books. A vocation to the religious life is meant to be a call to the fullness of Christianity. It was St. Augustine who described a Christian as one who follows the way of Christ, one who imitates Christ in all things. Father John Hardon, S.J., A Spiritual Autobiography, page 27. John Hardon had pronounced his final sacred vows as a Jesuit in 1945, and in 1947, at the age of 33, he was ordained a Catholic priest. In his spiritual autobiography, Father Hardon acknowledged that, after having asked for the grace of the priesthood the day he made his first Holy Communion, many people contributed to this grace along the way. Most notable among them was his devoutly Catholic widowed mother, of whom he once again made mention while describing this time in his life. Once again, he stated that he could not recall her missing the holy sacrifice of the Mass or receiving Holy Communion until the very day she died. He reflected that, quote, "Years before I had any clear idea of what a priest was, I respected the priesthood with such deep faith that words cannot describe," unquote. Within the year after having been ordained a Catholic priest, Father Hardon's mother passed into eternal life. What transpired next in the life of the new priest was quite unexpected. He was told that his vocation would be to prepare men to train priests. "Never, in my wildest dreams, did I anticipate what this would mean," he said. This specialized endeavor meant for him, quote, "long preparation in understanding the Catholic faith, and I mean understanding the Catholic faith," unquote. For him personally, it also meant the price he would pay in this life, both out in the world and within his ranks, for defending the one true faith as God willed during the 20th century, which he described as, quote, "the most trying century of Catholic Christianity," unquote. In 1951, Father Hardon earned a doctorate in sacred theology after having been sent to the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome for 2 years to learn from what he said were, quote, "the most talented and educated teachers there," unquote. In his spiritual autobiography, he recalled, quote, "Little did I expect to have to defend my faith and to face critics among my most talented fellow students, who were all ordained priests," unquote. While in Rome, Father Hardon was appointed director of the Graduate Library, which had more than 100 Jesuit graduate students as patrons. Within 2 weeks of being appointed the Graduate Library's director in 1949, he was told by his superior to ask the graduate students to return around 1,000 borrowed books. Father Hardon described the books as being in 1949, quote, "what we now call heretical," unquote. All of the books on the list he was given were recent publications by Jesuits that, quote, "cleverly and profoundly undermined the Catholic faith," unquote. Father Hardon recalled in his memoir that before retrieving half of the heretical books, quote, "I had become the agent of orthodoxy and therefore the sworn enemy of the modernists, who were updating the Catholic faith to its modernist theology," unquote. He remembered that doors were slammed in his face, and he lost friends he had considered fellow believers. "I learned what I thought I would never think," he said, "that members of my religious family would be avowed enemies of the faith I professed." Father Hardon concluded that the lessons he learned were invaluable. Quote, "It taught me that the faith I had so casually learned could be preserved only by the price of a living martyrdom. This faith, I was to find out, is a precious treasure that cannot be preserved except at a heavy price. The price is nothing less than to profess what so many others, either openly or covertly, denied." Unquote.